Good evening, fellow ghouls, inspectors alike. It's your ghost host with the most, Tiki here.
And Blue Dragon 5, here to engage in some haunted holiday hijinks by trudging through the catacombs and dusting off the cobwebs to recount our spooky selection of Halloween classics.
So light the jack-o'-lantern, suit up, and grab the candy dish as we revive and drink out tonight's spooky selection. Monster in my pocket. Jamaican Wolfman. Why, God, why? Dragon, what the hell? What did I just watch?
Oh,
what was this? What was this?
Okay, I do have a reason. Okay, so
is it like Inspector Gadget bad? Because I actually enjoyed watching this in spite of how baffling it is. But man, it baffled me as much as Inspector Gadget did.
Okay, a little context should probably be provided at this juncture. Okay, so here's what, folks. You're probably sitting out.
Monsters gotta catch them all, right?
So, folks, you're probably sitting there in your nice cushy chair. At least I hope you're in a cushy chair because you deserve nice things. Anyway, folks, I'm sure you're watching this and you're wondering, monster in my pocket, huh? I don't think I've heard of this one. Why are they covering this? Well, it's an obscure one for sure, and Tiki and I kind of wanted to, we kind of picked a random one to throw into the mix, where, basically he and I were on
this year's WTF selection.
He and I were very much kind of on even footing in that we knew little to nothing about this. I knew as much as to pick it. That's about as much as I knew about this going into this. Let me tell you the story. Here's why we did Monster in My Pocket. So, years ago, that's probably, believe it or not, is very tied into my nostalgia deeply. I know nothing about this thing.
Is it really?
It is very, it's not, let me put it this way, it's not an integral.
I was a 90s kid. I was born in 1990, and I have not once heard of this until you brought it up. Maybe it's an East Coast, West Coast thing. I don't know.
Well, it's a bit of a story. It's a mini one, though, so just let me, okay, so let me put it this way. It's not a string, but it's the twine the string is made of. It's like maybe a few. Okay, so of course, you know me, huge Batman the Animated Series fan, as I am, and of course, for me, I hit a dry spell with Batman in my youth. So basically, I had Batman. I was very much kind of savoring what I got when it played on TV, and the only thing I had on VHS, I had Phantasm, Phantasm, Sub-Zero, and basically a collection of the first volume, essentially, like the first 8 episodes, if you will, like the first disc of a box set for season 1, let's call it. Anyway, so suppose I had that, and the point is it was bare minimum. Basically I would rewatch that, and this is before I would discover these seasons, but the season box sets that they would release a little bit later. So it's so I went through a dry spell, and in that dry spell, what I had, they kind of hold me over till I was kind of reunited with Batman the Animated Series in its entirety, aside from just the reruns and just kind of watching it on TV, where I was kind of absorbing, kind of memorized certain episodes like the back of my hand. I had Dragon Ball, which of course would lead to Dragon Ball Z, and so on and so on. Very stubbornly, I'm not going to get to the next one. Or like, Z, who needs Z, man? Z's putting me to sleep, man. But no. Eventually,
I do think that hot take. I do think that Dragon Ball is a better series than Z overall. It's just more sharply written.
That's the thing. Point is, I was just the stubborn Dragon Ball fan because I was so in love with Dragon Ball. I never thought they were never going to do any better than this. But then we did some really cool stuff as we went on. Basically, I was so foolish I didn't realize, like, oh, wait a minute. The end of Dragon Ball leads into Dragon Ball Z. Why didn't I think of that? Anywho, my point is, so in referring to Dragon Ball here, so of course I had the Dragon Ball VHS tapes when I was a kid, and on those VHS tapes there was one very distinctive commercial.
Oh no!
And it was the commercial for this, which essentially is the opening. Remember the very opening of this special, where it's basically the premise of the whole thing?
Yes.
That opening, that's the trailer. That's the cell, and I thought that was like a series or something, which we'll get into that in a second here. But as I'm saying, so I because I would the Dragon Ball tapes, and they had like toy commercials for some of the Dragon Ball figures, but with the very few and far between they had back then, now it's a lot in excess. My point is, There are very few commercials on that thing. So it's mainly monster in my pocket, and I had that monster in a bucket.
Okay, can I just pause really quick? That's another thing. Why the hell is the title not plural? It bothers the hell out of me.
Yeah, because I keep thinking it's monsters in my. Because it's more than.
I know.
Yeah, you're right.
It really gets under my skin.
I remember telling you monsters in my pocket because I assumed that's what it was, but apparently it was monster in my pocket, which is anyway.
Anyways.
Point being, you understand. Basically, that was my experience. I basically I had memorized that original.
You never saw the episode itself, but you did memorize that little 1 minute bit.
I think in essence I always thought if I ever to get another Dragon Ball VHS tape, I would just see it on a shelf, and I never did. So I just thought you were there it'd be a show or something was going to hit the airwaves. Never happened.
Oh man, that's funny.
Never had. Again, I thought it was a series or something, and I just never heard about it again until again I was always having it in the back of my mind because of course you know me, I love some of the classic Universal guys, and of course one of my old time favorites. I love the Invisible Man. Therefore, this series they're always kind of stuck with me because of the Invisible Man kind of archetype you got in there.
Invisible Man, Tim Curry sound alike.
I was thinking more Tony J sound alike, but
I think it's I could see Tony J. It's maybe a little bit of both. Clearly he's going for something.
He's a dead ringer for Tony J. person. I think it's they tried Tony J and they couldn't get him, so they got this guy. But anyway, my point is, so that was all the familiarity I had with Monsters in My Pocket. And that brings me to the second backstory here. So apparently, the story behind Monster in My Pocket was.
You're going to have to edit yourself every time you say it.
Don't I know it?
Go ahead.
So apparently Matchbox folks, contrary to popular belief, Matchbox did more than cars. Matchbox, what they did specifically was they had a launch small figures, small vehicles outside of the cars, and also small things. You could fit in a Matchbox, hence the title of the company, hence the name of the line. So a Matchbox toy line, they wanted a new kind of monster themed thing. So they did monsters you could put in your pocket. Monster in My Pocket. Now here's the thing. From what I understand, they came out the same year as Pokemon did in '89. So I don't know which one came first.
Wait. Pokemon didn't. I know Pokemon didn't hit the States until 10 years later. I don't know if it came out in Japan in '89, but that honestly doesn't sound right.
Well, what I'm saying is, even if it came out in Japan, again, toys sell even in Japan. They have exports. I'm saying the property would still have come out.
I'm just saying that sounds weird because Pokemon to me is just such a late '90s thing.
I mean, Tiki, yes, it is a late '90s thing. I'm just saying from the genesis of the whole thing was, I believe, '89. The point being,
right, fair enough.
Look. All I'm saying is, it's kind of chicken before the egg thing. I don't know if they were inspired by Pokemon with whole monsters in the pocket thing, or if it was.
And of course, keep in mind, it's got to be a Japanese only thing at this point.
Yeah.
And at that point, I'm sure that the Pokemon name didn't even exist. It was just pocket monsters.
And that's what I'm saying. so that's the question. The question is remember, toy companies very famously a lot of times just rip each other off and not lose any sleep over it a lot of the time. So it's kind of hard to tell if it's just we'll change things up a smidge and we'll just
Okay, so Pokemon just wildly creative character designs for the time. I know that Gen 1 gets a bad rap for uncreative character designs, but for the time they were the shit, man. They really were. Or just Universal Monsters. I mean, I love Universal Monsters, but clearly the Pokemon were the more creative route to go in.
They were, but I mean, if you're looking at what monster really means, I think you were line up more with the Universal Monsters. Just more when you really look at dual monsters, the Yu-Gi-Oh, that makes more sense than Pokemon when they're really not monsters, just little creatures. Anyway, I don't want to get into semantics.
Can we talk about the lineup, Dragon? Can we talk about the lineup before we go beat by beat on everything?
You mean the lineup of our just our hero monsters, or the whole shebang?
Just the whole. Basically, let's go through everyone we see on the little poster thing.
All right. Okay, so we have Carrie Raven, kind of our human kind of girl character. We have her.
I'm sure that name was probably inspired by Stephen King's Carrie, right? That'd be
if I'm a betting man, I think it's a combination of Stephen King and mainly I think it's Edgar Allan Poe inspired. If I'm betting man.
The whole gimmick of the show seems to be, and again, Dragon, I'm just kind of picking up the pieces from what these 22 minutes give us. It seems to be that her father is some sort of Edgar Allan Poe-esque figure in this universe.
Yeah, maybe a touch Stephen King, or it's kind of Edgar Allan Poe into modern day Stephen King. It's kind of a mixture, I guess.
All right. And then we've got the Invisible Man, who I definitely think is probably the best character in the show.
I do love me. You know, I'm easy to please, man. I enjoy the Invisible Man for a myriad of reasons, and I like it when we can just add a good one to the lot here, man. I thought this was a decent one.
All right, and then we have Medusa. She's solid. I always like to see Medusa characterized. I think the snake head animation for the time looks pretty cool.
And then we have the Wolfman.
Okay, these next two I just fucking love.
So the full name, by the way, I don't know if they go through the full name in the special because even the toy has it's Da Wolfman.
I love the Wolfman. Oh my god, that obviously was going off of the Teen Wolf craze.
I'd imagine so.
And then Dragon, I think even fucking funnier. The vampire's name. The vampire's name is Vampire.
Yeah, voiced by Rob Paulson.
Just Vampire. Why? Everyone else gets a name, but this guy. Even Wolfman is Da Wolfman, but Vampire is just Vampire.
Then we have Swamp Beast, who essentially is kind of like, I don't know if he's entirely like a Swamp Thing ripoff, but I mean it's kind of like,
but he's got to be a Swamp Thing ripoff.
That's the thing, because he's kind of he's kind of Blob-esque, but it looks very it's kind of Swamp Thing meets the Blob maybe.
And then not pictured, we have the Mummy.
Yeah, who's nice, the klutzy Mummy.
And then remind me of the name of the Frankenstein monster.
Big Ed.
Big Ed, of course, Big Ed.
Because he's missing a few letters, so it's Big, and it's Ed, so it's Big Ed.
Oh, God. And then also my favorite role in this whole thing is Rob Paulson, who plays another character, Dragon. He plays Drive-In Jerk.
Oh, you don't.
At least according to the wiki for this thing.
Don't be facetious with
No. I'm genuinely saying that Paulson is just some jerk guy at the drive-in is legitimately really entertaining just because it's so obviously Paulson. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
All right. Anywho, the backstory. So the point being, again, another reason we kind of wanted to cover this too is that something really remarkable about this, because I've always assumed this was made into a series. Apparently, failed pilot.
But not even that, Dragon. Not even that. This is apparently the second episode.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I ran across that on the Monsters in My Pocket fan wiki. This is apparently the second episode that they produced. And they aired it as the pilot, but it's not technically the first episode. It's technically in production order episode 2.
Huh.
So that adds an even bigger layer of just WTF to the whole thing.
Crazy, because essentially, from my understanding, so it's kind of like in how Pokemon, you believe, correct me if I'm wrong, because you're more the Pokemon aficionado than I, sir.
Oh, yeah.
Pokemon, it was the game. It was the video game, then was a video game, card game, then the anime, or is it video game, anime?
Video game, card game, anime, yeah, that sounds right.
Okay. Anyway, so in this case, from my understanding, again, it was the toy line for Matchbox. I won't get this in the precise order, but the point being, they did other things before the animated special, because they had.
I know there was a video game.
They had a video game, they had a comic series, which I know for a fact they had a comic series. And then they essentially at some point they tried their hand at this, and again apparently went for 2 episodes, if anything at all. But I was assuming, and basically they aired this special around Halloween of 1992, so it's been over 25 years.
And here's the thing, Dragon. I mean, again, I want to reiterate, this thing is baffling to me. I do scratch my head at it. I can barely keep track of its plot as it goes through its 22 minutes. But I do enjoy watching it. It's fun. It's fun in how incoherent it is. All right. Okay.
Without further ado, I think we kind of got all the kind of the preamble out of the way. Let's just dive into it.
That was some legitimately fun preamble.
Okay.
All right, let's do it.
All right, so basically we start with the opening and then the premise, which is to kind of give you the abridged version of it.
Within a Transylvanian mountain, the world's most evil monsters were kept in prison, and I was their jailer.
Dr. Henry Davenport, the
Okay,
Invisible Man.
first of all, one thing right off the bat, and I'm sorry, Dragon, I'm gonna do this a lot as we go through, just questioning the logic of this thing. Why is Henry Davenport like the jailer to like the most evil monsters in the world? And yet, by the time the show starts, there's clearly good monsters and bad monsters.
Well, what do you mean? Again, if he's the jailer, it means he's outside the cell, therefore he'd be the good guy. With the rest of these guys worked in the prison, Tiki. That's the idea.
Okay, wait. So are you saying that folks like Da Wolfman, like basically all the folks that are with Carrie, are all like prison staff?
Yeah, I mean, you saw it. I'm operating off the same information. I want to make very, very clear. We're operating off of the same information here. Yes, you see them in the prison on the outside of the cells with the Invisible Man, like like they're bringing food or cowering when the
Oh yeah, I see it. All right.
process of elimination. There, I mean, other than that, they're friends visiting them. I don't know. The point being, they're good monsters.
I mean, literally, we get one shot of them outside the prison cell, so it doesn't make it explicitly clear.
Well, I mean that and the fact. Okay, well, we see in the whole special there's the good monsters and the bad monsters. It's pretty easy to keep track of it. I don't know.
Okay, and then here we go, Dragon, the big sell of the show, the monsters turning tiny scenario. How does it go down?
Well, here's where it gets even crazier. Here's the trippy thing. Okay,
yes, this is where things get crazier.
Okay, so vampire, you got a vampire named Vampire with a ponytail, by the way. So vampire, I always love the animation on this too. I love how he kind of makes this spell like in prison, where, like the bone and like little kind of like little kind of.
I'm just saying, prison has really weird security because vampires clearly able to just play around with these spells and stuff.
A little potion. I like the little potion animation that he's doing there. Point being, he came up with a shrinking spell. The idea is he was going to shrink himself and walk out of prison. Pretty straightforward. Unfortunately, something went wrong twofold. One, it shrunk the whole prison, everybody inside of it. Two, it sent the monsters, the whole place. It sent them all to the L.A. tar pits.
Yeah, that's I could kind of get like the shrinking the whole prison thing. That makes like a little bit of illogical logic sense, but the La Brea tar pits thing, no, I just what?
Essentially, they're loose in the city. Of course, it's their responsibility as the jailers.
How, Dragon? Just how? I'm sorry, I don't want to just let this go. I mean, Transylvania is like, Dragon, it's across continents. How does this physically happen?
Well, apparently, Tiki, if we've learned anything, vampires suck at magic, okay? Vampires suck at magic.
Oh,
I don't know how else to explain it to you, man.
Vampires that are specifically named vampire.
Uncreated vampires are terrible at magic.
Oh god. Okay, if we're really gonna go off this premise, like, why did the show have to be set in LA? Or why did they have to start out as far away as Transylvania? It just like and also, why couldn't it have just gotten, if like weird magic is involved, why couldn't it just gotten teleported instead of blasted off? I would buy it more if it was teleported.
Okay, look, if I'm to speculate here, I would imagine it's L.A. because of the whole universal monster draw of it all. I imagine that's why, and of course, the whole horror writer involved. But more so, again, this is new information to me. This whole being the second episode. Well, I mean, if it, from the beginning. If your first episode was about, again, this episode is very Hollywood reliant with going to the drive-in. So based on that, I would imagine they're trying to go for a universal horror movie, but I'm just kind of like movies and stuff, and like star maps, getting the mansions of movie stars, and therefore you need to be in LA in that premise. But again, I don't know if that's there from the beginning, but regardless,
because LA is the only place that has drive-in movie theaters.
Well, I'm saying for going to the celebrity's house and everything.
All right.
I didn't write the show.
Dragon, god damn it, you know that my my goal in life is to just critique the fuck out of plot holes in a children's programming designed specifically to sell toys to them.
Yep.
I
By the
mean,
way,
that's what I live for.
I don't mean to kick them while they're down here, but you know what really bothered me?
What?
The toys, because again, you have to manufacture them on a budget, obviously.
Oh, the toys look like ass.
That's the thing, is
really do.
What bothers me is that the toys are just like one color. That's the thing that really bothers me.
Yes.
Like, never mind the Invisible Man. The way they showcase the Invisible Man being invisible in his toy is that the cane is like molded to his body, but he doesn't have any hands. Like, oh, he's holding a cane.
Ooh.
It's clearly stuck to his body. Ooh. Anywho.
I should have looked into the video game and seen if it, did you look into the video game?
No, I didn't know.
I really want to now. I want to see what the designs are like in there. Anyways.
Okay, anyway, getting back and the points of premise. So sent to LA, the Invisible Man, the gang, they sought help of horror writer Edgar Raven. So again, Edgar Allan Poe, pretty straightforward. But he was away. But his 10-year-old daughter, Carrie, wasn't.
And now chilling at home alone, no big.
And
I guess she has housekeepers there watching her, I guess.
See, here's the thing to you. I swear to you, you're gonna love this. Right? This to me was the sell. It was kind of a twofold moment here. Okay, so when I was watching this trailer years and years and years ago, the moment that sold me, honestly, then I kind of got the rug got pulled out from under. It was like, okay, hey, you got these group of monsters, including the Invisible Man. Awesome. They're going to a horror writer to get some help. I thought it was gonna be like, okay, they're going to this Edgar Raven guy and they're gonna seek some help. It's gonna be awesome. And it's the daughter's there, and it's like the rug gets pulled out from like, oh god, they're stuck with the daughter.
Basically fucking Penny from Inspector Gadget.
Which again, not a bad thing. I mean, as a kid, I was thinking, oh god, horror writer, it's awesome, man. And then I was like, oh man, they're stuck with the kids. Like, where's the drama of the whole thing, man?
I'm saying there's worse female characters in this era that you could be stuck with than Penny, but there's far better. Like, if this was like a more Gosling style character, I don't know.
I mean, let me be clear. I like Carrie enough in this thing, but I'm saying, like, as a kid, as a boy, I was like, oh come on, man, don't stick her with she's in the
the funny thing about that is, Dragon, is that most of the marketing in kid shows is like, we need the kid because kids are relatable. God damn it, we can't just have the monsters. But you're like the complete opposite. You're just like, oh man, why can't it just be like a show with cool adult people?
Yeah, but again, spoiled with Batman, so I'm just like, I'm expecting higher things.
Right. Well, even Batman had Robin.
Oh, sure. It was an awesome Robin, though.
Yeah, I won't deny that. Anyways.
Anywho, okay, my point is, regardless, okay, premise, so basically you have that, and then you have the second cell, which is monsters in a bucket.
Dragon, it makes me wonder if there was like any sort of long-term I mean, obviously there wasn't, but like in my own head canon, if there's like any long-term story arc where by the end of the season we meet Edgar Raven or whatever the hell his name is.
And these are the questions that, again, I did speculate, like, man, I wonder if we're ever going to see the guy come back.
What I'm saying. It's like, I wonder if it's like eventually we do see him, or if it's just like a Charlie's Angels thing where he just never shows up, but his voice is off camera.
Entirely possible. All right, so points, that's our cell, that's our premise, and again, that's the reason we're talking about it today, which then brings us to the episode. So we have everything, of course, I love we're being faithful to the Invisible Man, of course, being a scientist. Therefore, ever the chemist, the Invisible Man is using Carrie's chemistry set, or a child's chemistry set.
Okay, Dragon, here's another thing that I just love about this setup. It's that these monsters have just like straight up taken over this poor girl's life. It's just like, hey, that's my chemistry set. Yes, but I need it. It's just like, I don't know. It's just like they're very clearly just like, there's just something so odd about this premise.
I gotta tell you, I kind of like that, she's really amenable to they're little friends. I don't know. It's kind of cute.
Again, Dragon, I'll reiterate, it's entertaining, but it doesn't make much sense.
Well, at the end of the day, Tiki, I swear to God, it boils down to that very simple cell, man. If it's just this little girl with monsters in her pocket, and like she has little friends, they're monsters, which are cool. And she carries him around in a little pocket. She's trying to help him. It is seriously. It is just that. It's just I don't know. It's kind of cute. It's kind of endearing. And again, as a kid, I kind of appreciate. Okay, it's monsters. It's a gimmick, and it was like, okay, well, oh boy, I hope that Edgar Raven comes back, but we'll see what happens in the meantime.
Right.
Anywho, so the point being, the Invisible Man, he's working with Carrie's chemistry set. Working on a formula to restore their size. Again, pretty simple goal of the series. They need to get big before the other guys get big, before they figure out how to get big and stay big. That's the whole sell of the show.
A good goal for the series, Dragon. A good goal. I reiterate, for the series. Not something that's literally going to be broken like 2 minutes later.
Well, yeah, they didn't. I'm sure they didn't know. They didn't know. They were hopeful.
That's where the size-changing shenanigans are where this thing really kicks into WTF overdrive. Right?
Okay, we'll pace ourselves. We're getting there.
Right.
All right, let's see. So we have vials of balsamic vinegar, a teaspoon of taco sauce, and
these things are really going to do anything to change their size.
Baking soda and diluted tomato ketchup.
Dragon, we could literally I probably have all of these things in my fridge right now, my friend. We should do a test, and I should just mix up a batch of this shit and see if I grow small or large, my friend. All right, obviously, I'm just kidding, but
anyway, okay, real quick. I want to mention, so again, Dr. Davenport here, the Invisible Man, he's voiced by Paxton Whitehead. Now, Paxton Whitehead, for the kids out there, because I know they're going to appreciate this. I know they've seen this. Back to School. He was the dean. He was the snooty dean giving Rodney Dangerfield the business in Back to School. Because I know the kids have seen that.
Because all the cool kids love Rodney Dangerfield.
Yeah, but that's something you might appreciate, Tick. We haven't gotten there at all yet. But in Frasier, he has this really great episode of Frasier. He's in a Thanksgiving episode of Frasier. Basically, Frasier and Lilith are trying to get their son into a special school, a fancy prep school or something. And he's essentially not. I don't know if he's a dean of admissions. So yeah, I guess he has a thing for playing deans, if that's the case. The point being, the guy's in charge of admissions, and it's Thanksgiving. He's having Thanksgiving with his troubled family, and they're pestering him nonstop because they keep screwing up the interview. Hysterical. Point being, our guy kind of sounds a little bit, again, according to Tiki, a little bit like a really kind of a fill-in for Tim Curry. I'd say fill-in for Tony J, but.
I think there's a happy medium in the middle between Tim Curry and Tony J, which this guy kind of fits into.
Sure. All right, so let's see. So basically the running dynamic, the running moral of the piece here is that okay. So we have I gotta tell you, it's a decent moral, at least for an episode. You have Dr. Davenport here. It's kind of a fun play on the sides here. Where again, he's kind of belittling. He's belittling Carrie here.
That's what I'm saying, man.
And seriously, it's kind of a good lesson though, where it's the fact he's just kind of she's helping him out tremendously here. Again, he's kind of stuck in his ways.
He's her as a burden, even though she saved their asses.
Exactly, and again, it's just kind of perspective, and basically the moral of the piece is don't be afraid to ask for help. That's kind of the moral of the piece.
I mean, Dragon, this is kind of it might be a Jimmy Neutron thing, or it's Davenport is a lot more likable than Jimmy Neutron ever was, but it's still kind of like a main character being an asshole syndrome.
But he learns by the end, and he's not exactly wrong. He's warning her. He's not being cruel to her. He's just saying okay, look, he's just okay, we have stuff to focus on right now, and don't touch that. It's very dangerous. He's could be a little loose, a little uptight. All right. He's like, this is no laughing matter, which, of course, is a big foreshadow, by the way. No laughing matter. Of course, bitter irony there.
Oh, this show has foreshadowing.
Anyway.
tell me the complex web of the complex Mr. Robot-esque web of foreshadowing that this show has, Dragon. If you go back and watch the first 10 minutes of this show for the sixth time. All right, I'm going to stop.
But seriously, there's some little foreshadowing there, like the whole "no laughing matter" line. Of course, that's going to come back. Nice way.
All right.
So let's see. Then we have Big Ed. He's lugging the vials and everything. I'm straining my stitches here. And God. Let's see. So then the Wolfman. He's going in circles, man. As as he's basically spinning, stirring basically stirring the chemicals together. Carrie offers her assistance, and again, the Invisible Man just keeps warning her, like, no, this is very dangerous stuff. You don't want to mess with this again. It's very volatile stuff. Meanwhile, let's see. See, the experiment commences, and it's up to the mummy. The mummy is a very important job. The mummy is in charge of basically moving the little dial, heat the whole thing, basically combust and kind of stir
the little dial with a tiny hammer.
Yeah, because again, unfortunately, it gets a little stuck. He pulls it all. I love it. He just has all these things like within his wrappings. Does it make sense? No. Is it cartoony? He's all get out? You betcha. He reaches in there for he has oh god, he's got scissors. He has a lamp. He's got all this sort of stuff, and then he pulls out a mallet. He smashes it, and it goes all the way. He's supposed to set on medium. It goes all the way to high, and kablooey, big old mess. It's like pea soup just shot all over the place, man. So let's see. So then, and of course, Carrie's saying, "Oh, you should have let me help." The mummy, of course, this is a nice little bit with the mummy. The mummy's apologizing for being klutzy, and the Invisible Man says, "Oh, accidents happen. It's all right." Yeah, it's kind of nice.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's see. Oh yeah, so it's just okay. Well, we're no bigger. Yeah, you're all squishy too, and of course she kind of chuckles a little bit here. But then, miraculously, the monsters grow.
Yeah, 3 minutes and 39 seconds into this thing, even less if you include the intro. Yeah. I don't know. It just seems like blowing your load just a little bit, Dragon. There's a thing called build up.
Yep. So, this is Leo. There's a nice little bit here. So, Leo, you're not scared of us, are you? He says, no, just she's a little shocked in being the gag here. He says, oh, just a little shocked as she's seeing Frankenstein kind of come back to life here, essentially, with the little electrodes kind of going off there. The point being, she's not afraid of it, even if they are full size. We can say to the kids up there, don't be afraid of these guys at all, man. They're all.
Wolfman could literally eat her at any minute.
He could.
Hey, I'm a vegetarian.
Going vegan, man.
I like to think that Wolfman's accent is like halfway between Jamaican and Transylvanian.
Yeah. Then Helga. No, not that one. Helga comes down. It was the 90s, but we're not there yet. Now, that Helga wouldn't come along for a few years until after this.
Like came out. Bartlett was involved in this show, and there was like an older Helga model.
God. Anyway, probably Olga, then refurbished into Helga. Anyway. Anywho, so the point being, Helga, the housekeeper, she comes down. They all
spring into like a pile of laundry, and they're clearly like their legs are sticking out and everything. And thank God that somehow they shrink again.
Yep, they shrink.
Lot said so.
Helga's questioning the mess. Oh, what the mess down here? What's going on?
I mean, stalactites. Yeah, as you do.
Yeah, as you do. So, with a vivid imagination, like your father. So, of course, she just writes it off as, I work for some eccentrics, don't I? So, she's cleaning up.
I gotta tell you, man, Helga, she's got a really good attitude.
She does. Again,
it's like all this shit is going down. She's got to this is like an hour's worth of work for her probably, but she's like, oh, silly child.
Yeah, I like to imagine she's paid well.
Yeah.
So let's see. So she starts with a wash, which of course is bad because our monsters in their small state are stuck in the kind of the pile of clothes.
Well, that's the end of the show, Dragon. They get drowned in very short-lived series, but I think we all learned something.
Yep.
Sorry.
So let's see. So Carrie tries to help because no, you've helped enough. Basically, trying to find an excuse to get him out of the wash.
Line by Carrie though, she's like, "Oh, you guys just keep spinning around and around," or something like that.
Basically, we have the monsters like having a washing machine. Basically, it's less threatening as it probably should be. It's more of like a theme park or like what's the
like a minor inconvenience. It's like a gravitron.
Yeah, something like that. They basically are kind of battling with centrifugal force of some variety.
You're right, Greg, and it really should be a life-threatening scenario.
Bear in mind, with the exception of the Invisible Man, I mean, well, never mind, because I mean, 2 of them are undead, not all of them though. So anyway, yeah, it's kind of Half-Life threatening. Anywho,
I never learned to swim, man.
Yep. So anyway, so Carrie then provides some assistance. Of course, basically, the Invisible Man, he's kind of spinning. It's like, we had a plan. Basically, we're going to use centrifugal force to get out of there. And again, as we saw, it wasn't quite life-threatening. So yeah, you probably been on to something there. Yeah, we probably just could have gotten our way out if we really applied ourselves. So, again, the point being, we're hammering the theme there. The Invisible Man's not just like not letting Carrie help, which of course is going to be kind of the key to everything by the end of things. Let's see. So anyways, of course, like now she's created another mess for Helga to clean up. Says, "Oh, what a messy child." But yeah, she's really nice about it, which is, All right, let's see. So then we check in with our antagonist of the series.
Vampire.
Yes, a vampire and Medusa. They're trying to hypnotize a dog. And of course, they're using
Dragon. I'll give credit to the animation because I do like how lively Medusa's snake hair is.
Oh yeah. And what did you think about Dracula? About vampire using a hypno ring?
I don't know, man. I don't know. At this point in the show, it's just par for the course. It's like we're 6 minutes in and we've already broken so many tropes. It's like, sure, why not?
All right. So let's see.
I think with Dracula, it makes some sort of sense because Dracula has always been like a very suave, charming guy, and he's kind of like a guy that sort of gets under your skin with how sophisticated and elegant he is, at least the way he's described in the book.
And he can do like the whole like within your you're within my power thing with the eyes and the
right.
I wonder if it was like a toyetic thing. Maybe down the line we can sell like hypno rings like Dracula has. Of course, would inevitably create Captain Underpants, but apparently it's not at all just linked to this at all. So, little tangent there. Anyway,
can I just acknowledge I really like the design of this dog?
Yeah, it's not bad.
I like the sharp teeth, the the spiked collar, the bandage on the tail.
Of course, it's not just any.
Firstly, it looks like a very, kind of like a classic threatening junkyard dog.
Absolutely. All right, so then we, of course, vampire voice of Rob Paulson, and we have Swamp Beast. Of course, Swamp Beast kind of being the match to Big Ed, again, kind of the lovable, the dope of the group, but again, kind of the muscle at the same time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Let's see, so they're chased by the dog, kind of failing. Basically, you can't hypnotize it because it's too small. His powers have been kind of weakened, and Medusa's calling him on this. Let's see. They flee to the nearby drive-in where they're playing essentially kind of a King Kong-esque film with Ray Faye. See what they did there? They switched it around. Instead of Faye Ray, it's Ray Faye because she was the original Scream Queen. It's anyway. Anyway, so let's see. So then, of course, we have the teens kind of telling, like, kind of the teens of the driving time, pipe down!
It's literally Rob Paulson yelling at himself.
Pretty much. Let's see. So basically, again, it's the idea. So basically, we hear some screamings on the screen here. We have there's really cartoony animation on Ray Faye's like screaming because it's ridiculous. Like basically the scream allows our monsters to grow.
All right, now Dragon, here's the deal. I kind of like the conceit of that, but my question is, how far reaching is this? It's like it's a good answer. But then again, it's like nobody, correct me if I'm wrong, Dragon, nobody screamed in the initial 2 transformations, right? That we saw with our good guys.
Well, Tiki, there's a very specific reason for that. Remember, the good guys don't grow with screaming.
Okay, you see, this is what I'm saying, man. I watched this episode twice, and I need a fucking flowchart to follow the logic.
Tiki,
right?
Tiki, I don't want to sound cruel here. I really just don't think I think it's pretty simple, okay? It's like, it's the whole point of the episode. Like, they grow with the screams. They grow, the heroes grow with something else.
What do the heroes grow with?
They grow with laughter, man. Laughter. It's Monsters Inc. rules, man. They grow with laughter.
Oh,
don't you get it? She laughed earlier, and they grew. The bad guys grow with the screaming.
Why did they grow back? Did she laugh again? What's the
Yes,
logic?
she laughs again later. It's pretty simple. I know you're missing this.
I guess what I'm missing is why we have to have the two different forms of I don't know.
Well, they're doing it again. They're trying to say laughter, like the friendly laughter is, better than scaring people and doing bad stuff makes them scream. That's I guess that's the it's for the kids, I guess.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I'm just saying that's the logic. I'm not saying it's great logic. All right.
All right.
Anywho,
okay, now I do really like this shot. It might be my favorite shot in the episode where the monsters are creeping behind the Rob Paulson jerk.
Yeah. Scare the crap out of them.
By the way, Dragon, I really like that the only copy of this that you can find on YouTube, there's like tracking and skipping on it. It makes it feel more authentic.
I do like an old aged feel when it's not super intrusive, Like I don't want snow everywhere, but I like me some cell dirt, All right. So let's see. So basically,
soon I will control the realm.
Yep. Okay, let's see. So yes. Basically, now they're going to they're going to seek revenge on their foes. Essentially, so now they're driving and flying. And of course, what do you think about the flight animation on Vampire?
I don't know.
Because remember, he doesn't turn into a bat. He just flaps his
wings.
No, it doesn't even have wings, Tiki. He just flaps his cape.
Oh yeah. Oh my God, you're right.
That's the thing. He just flaps his cape. It's like the old Daffy Duck Batman costume where he would just
don't. It's like, why not? Why not, Dragon? It makes as much sense as the monsters growing and shrinking by way of laughter and screams. I mean, it's like, I don't know. At this point, any sort of internal logic in this thing is just far gone. And again, we're less than halfway through the pilot episode.
All right, let's see. The point being, they're flying off right now. Helga, meanwhile, of course, basically they're heading to Raven's house. They're heading to Edgar Raven's house because they go to Edgar Raven's house. Helga answers the door and she mistakes these monsters as fans of Mr. Raven's work. And Helga is then turned to stone by Medusa.
Okay, really quick. I really, really like the aesthetic of the house being right next to the Hollywood Hills. Like, it literally feels like it's right around the corner from the Hollywood Hills.
Yeah.
However, I'm sorry, Dragon, I'm going to be CinemaSins for a second, all right? The La Brea tar pits aren't even anywhere close to the Hollywood Hills.
Well, remember, they're not living in the tar pits. They landed in the tar pits, and they went somewhere, man.
All right, yeah, right, you're right.
CinemaSins. Anyway. So,
Ding!
God. Anyway. Okay, let's see. So, of course, Carrie's like, who's there? Your worst nightmare. And then,
Inspector Gadget saves Christmas?
God. So basically, a vampire is chasing her through
the Cranks podcast.
So, vampire is chasing her through the house. Like, I'm thirsty. How about some soda pops?
No, I do not want the soda pop.
I don't drink. Seems like I don't drink wine.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but he's like trying to make a pun with this, right?
Yeah, remember, I
honestly couldn't tell if it was just a pun or a weird line delivery.
Well, remember, one of Dracula's catchphrases, at least the Bela Lugosi Dracula, was, I don't drink wine.
Oh, yeah, right.
I don't drink soda pop.
It's been a while since I've seen the Lugosi Dracula. I used to watch it all the time.
So then she goes for, again, it's a lot, if you were in her position, it's a logical go-to. She goes for the string of garlic.
Okay, I love this. This is straight up badass on Vampire's part.
It is. So what happens?
Vampire just like straight up eats the garlic, just downs it whole. It's just like, no, don't believe everything you read. Dragon, that might be my favorite. Like, I think the moment where he's creeping up behind Rob Paulson jerk might be my favorite shot, but that might be my favorite moment. That's like the one element of like illogical logic that I actually like in this thing. But kind of makes sense. It's like, yeah, it's, not every vampire myth is going to be true.
It is really cool. And of course, use this garlic breath to make her a little faintish, and then basically capture.
I will admit is a little like, I'm glad that they didn't have like a belch gag or anything attached to that, but no.
Well, it's garlic breath, it's monster thing. Point being, she's gonna take it off. Basically, she kind of swoons for a second there, and then basically, he flies off with her there, and she's calling for help, and it distracts the attentions of our good guys, of our monsters. And oh boy, and of course he says, "Yeah, scream, scream!" I love a good scream, as in, again, the screams make him retain his size, essentially.
Right.
All right. Also, a little fun fact with the Invisible Man too. I think my favorite element of the design, honestly, is the hat and the monocle. I love the fact we give him a monocle. It's just there's something classy about it. It's a nice little. You don't see that every day with the Invisible Man. It's always the sunglasses or bust. Monocle, it's classy. Anyway. All right, so let's see. So now the Invisible Man finds Swamp Beast's footprints, and basically he determines by the size. Okay, so obviously they're giant footprints, therefore they've returned to their normal size, which is essentially in the cell of the show. It's like, oh god, we can't let them get big before us, or else we're goners. The world's goners. No. So this is not good. Big Ed's beginning to panic, like, oh god, they got Kira. What are we gonna do, man? Whoa. A little bit more finesse than that, but Invisible Man suggests, okay, let's think logically, and then he goes to the Wolfman. Wolfman
Wolfman is clearly like the prophet of this group, my friend. I mean, he's clearly like the all-knowing seer of this group.
The Wolfman might be the MVP in terms of like who's the most valuable player in the situation. Essentially, the Wolfman has tracking skills. Yeah, tracking skills. He takes a whiff of the which of course is this is like a landfill on a hot day, man. Which of course gives them a big clue as to where they are because they're in a landfill essentially.
I'm sorry. Can we just pause on Wolfman's design?
Yes, we may. Go on.
All right, he's got like the dreadlocks, which is great. He's got like the palm tree, like kind of like the Magnum PI, like half open button palm tree shirt.
Yeah.
And then like the blue shorts with the flowers on them.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. That's it. I just wanted just Wolfman is my new hero dragon. When I grow up, I want to be Wolfman.
Yeah, well, you're halfway there anyway. So
arguably halfway there.
Yep.
Maybe by the time I'm 40, I'll be halfway there.
Yeah. Anywho. So let's see. So Wolfman goes, and here's the really cool thing. Remember when Wolfman really gets in the track? He gets kind of wild, man. He gets kind of like really into it. He gets really kind of
yeah.
He's kind of like, oh, the blood's rushing in my ears, man. And they go off. He's in the
track. Definitely sativa, not indica. Little stoner joke for you guys.
For the kids, all right. So, Vampire and Company, they return to the junkyard. Gary's asking, she's basically been in the car during this whole time. I was like, yeah, well, why can't you monsters get along, man? It's like, because we're back.
Honestly, that's kind of my question about the premise to begin with. It's just like, what constitutes the bad monsters and the good monsters?
Well, again, they are convicted criminals, apparently.
No, I understand that, but I'm just saying, logically, from a writing point of view, what was the decision making like?
Well, if I'm a betting man, if you really think about it, technically, the four monsters that we do have, Mummy notwithstanding, but let's just give them this characterization. Let's say all of these, again, pretty much the Wolfman's always a reluctant monster. Invisible Man gets a little mad with the serum, but ordinarily it's an average Joe.
Invisible Man is not really, I don't even consider him
Yeah, well, again, it depends. Sometimes it alters with the versions. Sometimes there are a couple. Yeah.
And then you've got Frankenstein, who's obviously a victim.
Sure, that's the thing. So basically, Mummy notwithstanding, they're all pretty much, again, all of our main guys are kind of the anti-hero monsters, if you will,
Yeah, I see what you're saying. The Medusa and But why is Swamp Thing? Swamp Thing is like the one that I
Well,
don't
no, not
get.
Swamp Thing. It's very important. Swamp Beast.
Oh, fuck you.
Hey! Swamp Thing is eons better than this guy. All right, there's a very big. I'll stick Alan Moore on you, man. Alan Moore. Okay, well, that's
please
scary.
don't do that. Please, that's the real Halloween horror story.
That's what I'm saying, man. How dare you besmirch
Alan Moore has Twitter.
I know he didn't create Swamp Thing, but he wrote the big run on Swamp Thing.
What if Alan Moore just surfaced on Twitter one day, Dragon? How would you feel?
Oh man, something big must have happened to get him out of his cage.
It's not just like he made an account. It's like, no, he's posting regularly. Like he's posting daily and often. Like
I gotta be honest, no joke. A part of me would wonder, oh God, is it the end times? I mean, the only reason he'd be coming on there is Watchmen would actually have to be happening right now. Adrian would have to be. Again, well, think about it. The Watchmen show has happened recently. Oh man, it's Moore's revenge, man.
I could honestly see that happening. I think there's a more than 0% chance of that happening.
I see what you did there. A more than 0% chance. Anywho, getting back on point to what we're actually talking about. So anyway, suggesting like, why can't you get along? I admit this is a little on the nose. Like, we're bad monsters. That's why. Why can't good and bad monsters can be friends? I mean, look, Medusa, I love your hair. Like, are you using conditioner? Just trying to chat up Medusa there. It's a good line, or a snake charmer.
Let me turn her to stone. Let me turn her to stone.
Vampire is just like, no, we're gonna use her. Essentially, I'm gonna turn her into my slave using the ring, and basically use her against her friends. So it basically says, okay, look at me. It says, no, it says, look at me, baby. And very intimidating. A vampire. I mean, it's a vampire with a ponytail, man. That's intimidating. Any walk of life you go across.
A vampire with a ponytail intimidating.
I'm saying it's like that's a vampire who's ready to do some bad stuff, man. It's a vampire who's been around. Like that's not your well-groomed vampire. That's your vampire's like he's been around. He's made a stylistic choice.
Man, he's like Violet Beauregard. He's got his hair tied behind his head because he doesn't want any distraction.
In essence, but it's the fact that this is a vampire.
Violet Beauregard. That's not what I wanted. Violet Baudelaire. That's the reference I was looking for. I'm sorry. Violet Baudelaire. Now that makes more sense. Not
the blueberry, the orphan, not the blueberry.
Okay, well, to be fair, it's very similar names, all right? It's B names with 3 syllables, all right?
No, a little serious. It's like it's like a vampire. Like that's like an old school, like really. That's not your classy erudite vampires. Your vampires like I'm gonna feast on some necks. I want to tie up my hair so it doesn't get in the way.
Right.
Anyway, getting back on point. All seriousness, though. So,
let's see. Keanu Reeves played Dracula.
That I don't think the world's ready for that, Tiki.
His career would totally come full circle.
Wait a minute. Okay, I got something better for you, man. Seriously. Forget this Jared Leto Morbius. Seriously.
Oh, dear
Keanu Reeves.
That's still in the discussion for happening. Fuck Jared Leto.
As far as I'm concerned, it's actually happening. But my point is, Tiki, seriously, tell me Keanu Reeves would make a better Morbius. I mean, do you know anything about Morbius?
No.
Seriously, take my word for it, man.
I know about Morpheus.
I know you know about Morpheus, but I mean Morbius. Morbius, like Spider-Man's vampire foe.
No, nothing.
Point being, like he has kind of the same hairstyle and the whole thing. He was a charming guy, being the operative point. Point is, Morbius kind of.
Spider-Man also have Dracula himself as
a
foe?
That's Blade.
No, but literally, there was a Marvel comic line with Dracula in it. I have a Marvel Essentials.
Well, yes, and that's where Blade showed up in. It was Tomb of Dracula.
So you're saying that Spider-Man never fought Dracula?
I mean, look, I imagine in a crossover capacity he probably fought Dracula, but obviously it wouldn't be like a regular thing, all right? I can't definitively say Spider-Man fought Dracula. if there's a villain called Dracula, it'd probably be through Blade. He may have come across it when he met Blade.
There's definitely. I'm literally staring at the Marvel Essentials book for Dracula right now, Dragon. So unless it's like some sort of weird Mandela effect, then
Okay. The operative point, Morbius, an actual vampire villain, Spider-Man goes up against on a regular.
All right.
Keanu Reeves would be a legit front runner because you can bring some pathos to that character. He's got kind of a similar look. Keanu Reeves absolutely would be a great Morbius. They get me doing it. Anyway.
And for some reason, the internet is obsessed with who Keanu Reeves is going to play in the MCU.
Yeah. Well, obviously it's not going to be in the MCU because of certain things. We're drifting far off point right now. Circling back.
Can you blame me with this?
Yes, I can blame you with this. Anywho, okay, so she's about vampire wants to use as a slave, essentially bait the good monsters so they can take them out. And this is look at me, no, maybe, and then essentially before he strikes, before he hypnotizes her, they all shrink. Essentially, their scream is worn out. So now they're all shrunken back down to their original states. Now. Let's see. So the monsters, they figure, okay, well, we gotta get that. We gotta hear the movie screams again. We gotta go back to the drive-in,
and then we'll be stronger than ever.
Exactly. And also, they command, I guess, with some residual energy. Again, it's like, look, and this is where I can easily get on board. Like, yeah, writing's definitely not up to snuff in a lot of parts here. Basically, now the ring all of a sudden works on the dog where earlier it didn't when he's small. It tells the dog, don't let her escape. You don't watch the girl, make sure she doesn't run away. So obviously,
Dragon, I can buy the residual energy thing. That doesn't bother me as much as a lot of stuff does.
All right. So she flees, and then, of course, the dog, now under the control of a vampire, stops her.
Yeah, this is where the dog animation is on point, man. Tell me this dog isn't intimidating, man. He's got, like, those sharp teeth really get to me. It's like if I was cornered by a dog like this, I'd be pretty terrified.
Yeah, I tell you, man, I don't think we necessarily saw it, but again, I could buy foam very easily on that dog. All right. So let's see. So as she's being accosted by the junkyard dog, our monsters, they find the junkyard. They are interrupted by, by the dog. Basically, Wolfman, his trail is interrupted by smelling a very familiar scent, as in another dog-like creature, another wolf or dog-like creature, which is in this case a junkyard dog.
Mm-hmm.
So now they basically are in the thick of it. Now they want to help Carrie and the mummy. They basically call out this dog, and now the mummy is put into peril. As the mummy is basically turned to a chew toy for a moment here. And Carrie and this like, we're here to rescue you, Miss Raven.
I feel like the mummy is kind of like a punching bag in this whole thing.
He is, but he seems like a nice guy. It doesn't count for much. But the mummy seems like a really nice guy.
Sure.
He does. He does. He
gets the crap beat out of him, but he's got a good attitude about it.
Yeah, he's seriously. I gotta tell you, he has some subtle moments
for you.
He has these two subtle moments I'm gonna point out when we get to it.
All right.
Anyway, so
I mean, we got a really good subtle moment out of the fucking magic school bus, Dragon. So anything's possible.
I think it's gonna be as good as that, but maybe a second. Point being, says, "Oh, we're here to rescue Miss Raven." Says, "You call this a rescue? Looks like I'm gonna be doing the rescuing here myself." Or basically, she's like getting the mummy out of the dog's mouth, and give me back my mummy, you big mutt. There's a little bit of a tug of war going on there. Then Wolfman, he bites the tail.
Yes.
He basically kind of getting the dog to release. Let's see. Invisible Man tells Big Ed that Carrie's in danger, and man, this is awesome here. Big Ed, man, Big Ed. He springs into action to save Carrie. Save Carrie. Where basically he throws these tires on he kind of donuts the dog essentially by snaring the dog in a little trap there, and the dog gets scared the crap out of him, and he runs off. And this is really cute to me here, where as the conversation's going on after the dog's been scared off, you'll notice Carrie, she's rewrapping the mummy. He's been kind of unfurled during the whole affair.
Nice.
And there's a little payoff to it later on by the end of the episode, which we'll get to. It's a little adorable little payoff there. So remember that she's rewrapping the mummy. It's a nice little gesture she does. Okay.
Gotcha.
So
also, Dragon, just to add more positivity here, I do genuinely think, shockingly, this thing's pretty well animated.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the shading looks pretty good. I like the character designs for the most part.
Yeah.
I think the backgrounds have a lot of life to them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the plot itself is kind of all over the place, but it looks decent.
All right, let's see. So basically they say, okay, Carrie, we don't need your help. We got to deal with these monsters, and of course they realize they don't have any information on Vampire and the rest of the gang. So they realize that Carrie has all the pertinent information because she was basically in the car with them during the whole time. So he says, "Oh, I guess I know exactly what Vampire's planning, where they're going right now, but you don't need my help. So okay, well maybe this one." So again, the Invisible Man, he's coming around. He's getting there, man. He's reluctantly getting there. So then.
Pilot episode because the proverbial full series that we can all dream of in our wildest imaginations, Dragon, her, and Invisible Man will just be on the same page from this point forward.
But Tiki, very seriously though, we get it only happens one time in the episode.
Yes. Okay. Oh my god,
big moment. She puts them in her pocket.
And then somewhere Peter Griffin is just like, they did the thing. They did the thing.
So Tiki, in other words, they would be monster in her pocket.
In other words, they would be pocket monsters. Yes, monster in my pocket. Yes, I see what you did there.
Right.
Singular monster, not plural.
All right, so let's see. So they go to the drive-in, they go to the projectionist, and
I'm sorry, really quick. I'm pretty sure the reason why it's singular and not plural is because toys were meant to be kind of like a personalized experience. You know what I mean? Like, you'd have like you'd buy the one monster. Although I don't know, it's still doesn't really even make sense from that regard because you would think with the toy line the goal would be to sell them all, not just have the one monster that was yours. So I got nothing, Dragon. The lack of an S is perplexing. Anyways, I'm sorry, go ahead. Curse you, Mattel spelling department! It's more a grammar issue, but I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Anyway, point being, they're in their pocket. Then we go to the projectionist, and the projectionist is tied up in film, which you gotta admit that. How stupid does that guy have to be tied up in film?
Oh, and this is also fucking Fred from Scooby-Doo, right?
Yes, it's Frank Welker.
Yeah, I know it's Frank Welker, but just the voice he's doing is just straight up Fred.
That's the thing. It's essentially it's kind of funny. I believe Frank Welker. Of course, they always get multiples in your things here. Frank Welker is probably the voice of the dog, which he does.
I'm sure he is. Yeah.
Oh, the dog. I'm pretty sure he's Big Ed. He's this character. And usually, it used to be a rule of three. I don't know if this extended. I assume it was in the 90s on where it used to be get paid. A voice actor can be made to do up to 3 roles, and beyond that, then they get paid for a second role.
Does Rob Paulson have a third role in here somewhere?
Yes. I mean, I'm sure he does. It's God, I don't think we've come across it yet, but I'm sure he does. Point being,
but yeah, I just love how this guy is just basically like nerdy Fred. Like he's even got the blonde hair and everything.
He does. And I want to say
exactly like Fred Dragon. Like obviously, I know it's Frank Welker, but it's just. I'm sorry. It's Fred.
I think Frank Welker is also Swamp Beast, but I don't know.
It could be. That sounds right.
Anyway, because it's kind of like the voice is definitely deepened and everything. So. Anyway, the point, so the projection is tied. This is going to sound crazy. It's like, what if Fred tried to be Shaggy for a bit? That's kind of weird. the unholy amalgamation there. It's just like, it's going to sound crazy, man, but I was attacked by monsters. Anyway, this is one of my favorites.
There's never been like a Scooby-Doo like mind swap episode where like Shaggy takes on like the prestigious preppy boy persona and Fred is the hippie. That would be fun.
There is a mind
blow. Like the sexy girl, and Daphne is like the self-conscious nerd.
There is a Scooby-Doo thing I did learn recently that might blow your mind, but
nothing about Scooby-Doo will blow my mind. Trey,
yeah, now I'm thinking about this moment I was about to bring up will not blow your mind, but they did kind of a romantic swap for a moment in it was like a footnote where there's a misunderstanding where Daphne and Shaggy to Fred seemed to be an item for a minute. That really worried Fred.
That's great.
That's like for like a moment. Basically, he was like, it's kind of the edgiest Scooby. Again, Scooby Natural. It's kind of the edgiest Scooby Doo really got there. Oh god, because he thought they were like a romantic encounter. Anywho,
I seriously, what is the show that has like the Shaggy and Velma shipping? Is that
this is the same one I'm talking about. This is Mystery Incorporated. This is the one this is the one you got to check out.
I know. Really I've seen a couple episodes of it here and there when I was watching like stuff like regular show on Cartoon Network, but
yeah, I've fallen out of touch with it. I gotta it's over and done with. I'm saying it's only a season, maybe 2 seasons. If it,
yeah, that sounds like something good to binge if I ever get a sick day in the next couple weeks.
It's either one full season or like 2 seasons. I'm not sure. Anyway, point being, getting back off the Frank Welker kind of like kind of correlation here.
Podcast would be like this.
Yep. Okay. So, my favorite Carrie delivery, my favorite Carrie bits in this moment right here, where she says, I've been crazy, I've been attacked by monsters, man. Says, oh, that's silly. What did they want? I just love it, like, just so cute. He said, oh, that's silly. Monsters, that's silly. What did they want?
Yeah.
Very funny. So basically says they wanted to see the movie. They wanted to see the Shriek, but we sent the original print back to the owner, Ray Fay, the actress is in the movie in Burbank, and they have a great delivery here by the Invisible Man. I love this delivery. Burbank, where is this Burbank?
Well, you see, it's this little town that happens to have a famous movie studio in it. You might have heard of. It's called the Disney Studios. Anyways, just to point that out.
So we're at Ray Fay's house, kind of her mansion-y house, and anyway, I gotta tell you, Ray Fay's kind of. This is where we get into some trippy stuff here. Where I'm just going along for the ride at this point. It's like it's Ray Fay's like, okay, kind of the old original Scream Queen. She seems to be really personable. She's not questioning at all. She's either hopped up on something. She's like, just does not care at this point. She's like, okay, little monsters who are clearly little monsters have showed up, and she's entertaining them like guests and not questioning the logic of that at all. She thinks they're little people.
Living like a Sid Barrett, like dropping acid in her tea every morning style lifestyle, Dragon.
In a sense, I'm talking like it's kind of like like one of the old. It's like the old Hollywood starlets when they're getting like towards the end of the years. It's kind of where we're at this point. Anywho, it's the point being, like, she's like, she's entertained the little people who made her career, made her a star in the first place. That's kind of the gimmick here.
Right. I mean, kind of a funny pun, but it makes no sense with how nonchalant she's being. But again, this is a show that's made for children to sell toys, so
again, showing the sense of, again, it's pretty much an episode.
This is a product that's made for children to sell toys.
Yep. All right, so let's see. So basically, they attempt to scare her at first, trying to get a scream out of her. Does not work. We have this great kind of conversation here with a vampire. What if I told you I was a vampire? It's no offense, but you just don't have it. Plus, you're too short for it. So he tries to.
The funny thing with that logic to me is just like they're already tiny. It's like what else is going to perplex this woman?
Yep. So let's see. So she basically just flicks the vampire away as he's about to kind of bite her neck to I guess prove something. And of course, she flicks him away very easily. So then Medusa, I love Medusa here being the smart one. That I'm saying he's just a little eager. We wanted to see your film again. We wanted to watch The Shriek again. Says, oh, why didn't you just say so? This to me is awesome, man. This is like in the Big Bang Theory. You have like the James Earl Jones encounter where you meet James Earl Jones. Like that's the best day ever, man. Where he takes you all over the place. You basically hang out with him for a day. You showed up on this lady's doorstep. Right. They're showing you a very important print of the movie of the one that made her career.
Oh man!
Putting on a little show. It's adorable.
Okay, meanwhile, Carrie dashes off the bus in Burbank, runs to the house.
Yep. So the show's about to begin, and let's see. So she, of course,
Swamp Beast munching the popcorn, down's a whole bowl of popcorn.
The stale popcorn, just the way he likes it.
Bowl and all.
Yep. let's see. So Carrie bursts in and she says, "Oh, more fans, just in time." So,
I mean, clearly this woman does not mind just people randomly like bursting through her door. Right? And clearly that's just par for the course with her.
yeah. So let's see. We have a little bit of a monster fight going on here. It's like
The monsters
Wolfman
jump out of the pocket, Dragon. We see them jump out of the pocket.
is pretty cool. You got to admit. You put him in the pocket. They jumped in. Oh god.
By the way, I kind of love how only half of the cast, the title only applies to half of the cast. I don't know. That's just kind of weird.
Okay, I'm gonna pitch you this because we're never gonna see this ever.
Oh god.
By the way, I couldn't verify this. I heard there may have been a revival of the show in 2003, but I could not.
Oh, I would be down for looking into that.
Tiki, I don't think it exists. At the very least, if it does, I couldn't find it. But maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I don't know how official that was.
Somewhere in the bowels of Daily Motion.
Maybe I don't know. My point is, okay, Tiki, maybe like in the season of the show we didn't get.
Yes.
Vampire and the gang, they made an alliance with a young person as well, and they were also kept.
Oh, I like that. I like that. Dual pockets, bitches.
But it was a bad kid, though. It was also like, I don't know, maybe something.
What if the kid's name was Jason? Just straight up Jason.
Yeah! Or Michael.
Yeah.
Anyway. Okay. All right, let's see. Right. Okay. So
or pitch like the modern day cartoon with actual story arcs and stuff. Dragon through multiple seasons. Eventually, each of the monsters will be redeemed, and the grand finale of the show would be all of them going into the pocket, and it'll be fucking beautiful.
All right. Anywho, getting back on point here.
Yeah.
So basically, I have a little monster fight going here, like Wolfman and Medusa. Bit of a little fake out gag where basically you think like the Wolfman's about to be turned into stone. Eventually is, so it's kind of pointless when you really think about it. But Vampire. Let's see. So Vampire, he goads Carrie. This is again really clever on Vampire's part. Vampire goads Carrie into swatting him with the newspaper, which basically switches the projector on. The screams happen, which means our bad guys grow and our good guys.
Vampire's part, I will say.
It is. Now our good guys are doomed, and of course, the Ray is just like completely in the dark. You're saying, there's a special effect I've never seen before.
God. This woman is clearly on drugs. There's no other way to explain it, Dragon. This woman is living in a hallucination.
Pretty much. I mean, more like prescription drugs, but like just medication, like really bizarre stuff.
She's like clearly on a dosage of prescription drugs that she does not need, and it is just messing with her perception of reality.
Pretty much.
All right.
Anyway, so basically, now the monsters are in trouble, and she takes care. Says, "This is the time in the movie where we scream for help." And of course, they're about to go out the door, but then who's at the door? It's the dog. It's the junkyard dog. Went all the way down there. Apparently, a bus's length away, and found them. Figure. So then Ray is just asking this really out of left field question. What's his problem? Well, he's a dog, man. He's a rabid dog, apparently. So
why not, Dragon? Why not at this point?
To carry that exposits is under
I would like to think that the junkyard dog physically took a bus to get here.
Quite funny. Is like you? Oh god. Anyway, the point being, dog shows up and we carry exposits. Oh yeah, it's under the spell of vampire. Give us an idea.
Oh god, this is just. Oh man. So
okay, I love this gag for very obvious reasons. So basically, we pull a Lou Costello here, and I love this gag.
Yes.
It's from Abbott Costello Meet Frankenstein, where Lou Costello, for a moment he does a fake out with Frankenstein because he was under the power of Dracula in the movie. So basically, Lou Costello, he basically takes a black tablecloth, which he removed without knocking anything off the table. By the way, a little fun fact. And he basically says like uses he makes the motions like they get back. It's just, I can't believe he's falling for it. He's completely dropping the charade before he should have. It's hysterical. Basically, we do the successful
Why do
version.
we need conflict with the dog dragon? Why? Why do we need the dog there? I don't get it.
The point being, we have we need muscle of some variety. It's about the size of the monster, but apparently we can't let Swamp Beast do anything. We can't.
Sure, I guess. I don't know. Oh man.
Okay, point being, it's like this Sophie's choice for the dog. Like, which master is he supposed to follow?
Like the end of Air Bud.
Right, the junkyard years of Air Bud.
No, yes. I'm sorry, Jay. Hold on. I want another side tangent here.
Man.
You don't remember the ending of the original Air Bud,
no, I don't.
All
Was
right,
it a freeze frame?
Dragon, it's actually got a lot of pathos to it, all right? Believe it or not. It's like the kid who found Air Bud and, trained him to be the basketball star and all that. And then Air Bud's original owner on the other side, and they're both kind of like, come here, buddy, come to me. And Dragon's like, you want him to get with the kid because, you've been following the kid the whole movie. But by the same point, you want him to get with the owner because the owner's known this dog his whole life, So it really, Air Bud is legitimately like a dramatic Sophie's choice at the end of that movie. This is just ridiculous.
Right.
Revisit Air Bud one of these days, man. I'm telling you, there's some feels in the original movie.
Let me guess, is one of those feels, did he make the playoffs?
Okay, folks in the comments, seriously, am I the only one who thinks the original Air Bud has some pathos to it? Seriously? Anyways.
Anywho, outside of talking about dog movies. Anywho, let's see. All right, let's see. The point being, okay, the dog buys it. Dog's torn between two masters. Swamp Beast wants to keep the monsters. So give them to Medusa and take the projector. So we see I'm sorry. Then we have the master off with the dog. Who's you follow your master? Don't do that. And basically, it's shifting sides there. Medusa turns the dog into stone to kind of abbreviate the situation. Not
horrifying, by the way.
Well, it's gonna be fine.
I know he's going to be, but still, the way that the stone statue just kind of limps after he gets turned into stone, that's a little disquieting.
It is. So before, let's see. So before Carrie's a goner. Carrie's about to be a goner here. The monster's going to gang up on her.
Well, our main character got killed off, and she's a small child. That's the end of that show.
Yeah. Anyway, so let's see. So then, Invisible Man gets a really good idea. He says, "Let's reverse." They reverse the film, and essentially they reverse the film. So the scream the shriek is backwards. So that means, it doesn't make any logical sense at all.
No, that's totally how auditory screams and laughs work, Dragon.
Does not at all. Yeah, but I'm saying we're almost to the end at this point. So it's just the scream goes backwards, therefore they shrink. I don't know.
Dragon, I think that the whole Pixar "we don't care" thing is high on coke in this special.
Quite possibly.
We don't care, man. We don't care.
Right. It's kind of the Scorsese "we don't care."
Oh God, fucking Scorsese. Don't get me. Anyways, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Anyway, I was thinking more like an early years coked up Scorsese, but anyway.
Oh yeah, right.
Anywho, point being, cocaine aside.
On the record, I don't care about anything that Scorsese said about comic book movies. This kind of perplexes me why so many other people care so much. Anyways.
Anywho. God, where were we? Ah, yes. Point being, Invisible Man saves her bacon there. So basically, then the vampire is going to attack the Invisible Man. Carrie then grabs Vampire. Then Vampire bites her. Man, bites her on the again. proportional bites. It's not the end of the world. Just kind of bites her thumb or her finger or something. And then basically she is the vampire is in trying to fly away, but he is then hit by Ray with the film canister. You've ruined my movie. You've ruining my film. And all of our bad guys flee. The Invisible Man kind of does some exposition about the stone glare of Medusa is going to wear off, but unfortunately the film is destroyed. He offers humble apologies to Ray Fay there and commends the whole the vampire gambit that unfolded there, like the whole kind of shifting, confusing the dog. That whole stunt was clever, and she gives all the credit to Carrie. That was Carrie's idea, and then there's a big one with the Invisible Man. Kind of he mans up here. He says the Invisible Man owes her an apology for underestimating her. I underestimate you, Miss Raven, Carrie. First time he calls her Carrie in the whole thing. It's nice.
Wait, hold on. Is the mummy's name just Mummy?
Yeah.
All right, I appreciate that as well. Moving on.
I mean, I kind of nicknamed him Klutzy Mummy, but I mean it's Mummy, so.
Just like I like how both factions here. It's like we have just vampire and just mummy.
And that's how the toys go. Again, the toys kind of like the Invisible Man's kind of a weird one. Sometimes he's Dr. Henry Davenport. Sometimes they give him a different name, or he's just Invisible Man. So it's a little strange.
Whenever you say Davenport, I just think of Jack Davenport.
I keep thinking of IKEA furniture when I say Davenport, but anywho. Going with the fjord, not the Ordvas. Get your head on straight. Get out F down. Anyway, so. Sorry, getting back on point here. Okay, so here's the other bit I was talking about here. So here's the payoff. It's a small blink and you miss it bit here. The mummy is wrapping the wound on Carrie's finger.
Oh, okay, that is nice. That is nice.
See, that's what I'm telling you about, man. The mummy's a nice guy.
Also, kind of cryptic thing that I'm just noticing here. I mean, obviously it's not intentional, but there's just very clearly a portrait of two tall towers kind of slightly ajar out of frame behind Miss Ray's head here.
Sure it's a picture or is it a window?
I'm pretty sure it's a picture. I don't know. It's just kind of creepy. It's like obviously it's unintentional, but it's like in retrospect it kind of gives off some 9/11 vibes.
Tell you what, I kind of think they're homaging there. I think they're homaging like one of the remakes of King Kong. I forget if it was the 90s version or 70s version. You had the twin
70s version, the 70s version where he's on top of the twin towers. Yeah,
maybe
that is probably what they're homaging.
Yeah. Anywho,
that's a good pull, good call.
Yep. All right. So let's see. So again, if it could just be two buildings, just like a random like.
No. I'm pretty sure since this is supposed to be Fay Ray. I mean, I think that's a good bet, Dragon.
All right. Let's see. So then we have. So they offer to clean up the mess that they made. You know, the least we could do. We kind of ruin your film. This is I'd rather make new friends than old film. You know, even if they're monsters, you should have met the directors I've worked with.
Oh dear. Oh man, that takes on a whole new context these days.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh,
I could get into a whole. I'm not.
Oh God!
I could get into a whole rant about like old school Hollywood and how it's been recontextualized today, but I don't want to get down. I don't want to bum it up.
No. Let's not touch that.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
Hollywood has always been fucked up, sir. I just want to say for the
that's my point. That's what I'm saying. Everyone keeps forgetting that, but anyway, that's why this guy is the guy is like where it's a little tongue in cheek. Yeah, Hollywood used to be really screwed up.
It's kind of like an old school casting couch gag.
That's what I'm saying, and we keep forgetting. We're going on this. That's what I'm saying. We keep forgetting that we've talked about it, folks. We just didn't. It wasn't in vogue anyway. Getting back on point. So let's see. So so this is. I'm going to call the pound for the dog because I want to make sure the dog's out of my house once it gets unstonified, I guess.
Probably a good idea.
All right, so then we have our epilogue here, where we're at with Carrie's help now. They've recreated the formula. Big Eddie kind of drops the vials in, unfortunately, which leads to yet another explosion. messy explosion. Helga's not going to be Helga's not going to be pleased with this explosion. I think she will be though, because she's pretty.
Oh, I think she will. I totally think she's just gonna be like, "Oh, you creative kids! Oh, you young generation Xers."
Importantly, we kind of get a little bit of a Super Friends laugh going on here. Of course, as she laughs, our guys grow here again. Kind of Monsters Inc. logic, laughter being the opposite of screams. It also kind of does the job. She's now basically, our guys are now back to full size, and they realize, oh God, she's the X factor in the formula, man. Basically, it's the laughter, man. The laughter is the key to this. We need the rest of the formula because laughter is a huge part of this. But with her help, we can figure out the other components of a formula. So basically, we can maintain our height, man. This is great. And, does that mean we make a great team? Yeah. Vampire and those guys don't stand a chance, and they all go for a little bit of a kind of a hug, I guess, hug via her hand or something, and they go for the pose, and then we have Mox's in her pocket.
Mox's in a pocket.
And that's all she wrote.
Oh boy! Wow. Yeah, Dragon. This is probably going to be the longest podcast we record this season for Haunted Holiday Hijinks. Granted, we did go on some side tangents, but I mean, I think it's warranted. I think the extra time is warranted, my friend. This thing is an enigma, man. This is just kind of wrapping into my final thoughts. Like, I mean, oh man, it's again, Dragon. I don't have any ill will with this thing. It's kind of a head scratcher. It's riddled with plot holes, my friend. Just riddled with them, like top to bottom. It makes no logical sense, and I kind of love it. I mean, it's just like I said, it does legitimately look good. The animation looks like there was some thought and care put into it. And some of the concepts are okay. I mean, I love the Jamaican Wolfman. I mean, overall, though, Dragon, I mean, let's face it, this thing is, like you said, it's hard to even call this thing a TV show at this point. It's basically a failed product. And so with that in mind, I mean, it's very fun to revisit this thing, but man, it is definitely a product of its time. Keyword product.
Yep. Look, to keep it simple, I mean, I thought it was charming. It feels like it kind of feels like somewhere in the middle. I can't say it's truly more sophisticated than this, but it's sort of like again, this was made in the 90s, but it feels very much like an 80s premise. I know it was the whole concept was in 89, but still just feels very...
Oh, no, I'm glad you bring that up, actually, even if it's at the tail end. I was very surprised to learn that this wasn't in, like, the mid-80s.
Because that's the thing. Doesn't this feel...
It feels so much like an 80s project, Dragon. It absolutely does.
Because it feels like
marketing-wise, it's right in there. It's like it's literally the exact strategy that all those 80s cartoons had.
Because here's the thing. It feels like you have your 80s premise and all that's built into it. It feels, again, it's very toy-driven. It's all very 80s-esque. It is dripping with 80s, despite it not being made in the 80s. But what it's bringing to the table in the 90s is this, again, the idea that if we're going to make more, we're going to have places to go, and that, okay, it's kind of a war between these two, like who's going to be able to lock in their size.
Disney afternoon, we can kind of sort of tell a story with this.
It basically kind of the vaguely serialized kind of like, the point is like there's going to be an end point. Like if there were a season finale, if there were a season to this, then like we'd be going somewhere. That's kind of your 90s storytelling, but 80s purely in the sense of aesthetic and everything else, like where we're getting all this from. But it's by no means it's not mind blowing, but I gotta be honest, I could have watched more of this. I really could have. I would have watched
too.
I would have. I mean, honestly, in the charm of the Invisible Man alone, and just like this, like again, the cutesiness of the premise, I'd be able to watch more enough. I get like a full season here. I'm not saying it wouldn't get old, but I'm saying, you know what? I'd like to see where they go. This one.
A year or two ago, I actually marathoned the entirety of Cowboys of Moo Mesa, and I gotta say, I feel like that has a very similar charm to this.
I mean, look, is this great? Maybe not. It could have been a lot worse. Heck yeah, it could have been. It was fun. This was fun.
All right, folks, that's the end of tonight's spooky selection, and our spirits grow weary. But don't worry, they'll be stronger than ever next time as we engage in even more haunted holiday hijinks, man.
Man.
Monsters in my pocket!
Monsters in my pocket.